All right, welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia 76ers now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you out there are getting set to have a fantastic weekend. A lot to talk about on the docket for today. Going to kind of be like a video podcast style video as I go through some notes, some of the recent reports out there, and some juicy Sixers rumors. Show some love to the channel by hitting that thumbs up icon, liking the video, but also subscribing for year-round coverage of the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's start off here with Buddy Hield, because what we're talking about on today's show, according to Shams Charania, Sixers have shown interest in him over the last couple of months. Brian Windhorst said Philly could be players for Kawhi Leonard or Paul George in free agency. We have a James Harden trade update, and are the Sixers the mystery team for Damian Lillard? So we start off on the Buddy Hield front here. Buddy Hield and the Pacers have not been able to come to an agreement on a contract extension. Last year, he arguably had the best year of his career. Now, he goes to Oklahoma, was a stud there. Oklahoma got waxed in the Final Four by Jay Wright's Villanova Wildcats, and Buddy Hield throughout his career has been with a couple of different teams. He's shown some flashes of being a really good three-point shooter, and he's a career 40% three-point shooter. But with what he can give you offensively, and he's not scared to let it fly from deep because there's no filter to his range, he's a really bad defensive player. So he's an intriguing option for Philadelphia because of the shot-making ability and what he'd give this offense. And we're talking about Hield here because, according to Shams Charania, because Hield and the Pacers can't come to an agreement on that extension, he's on the trade block. And there are 3 teams who have registered recent interest in him, according to Shams. Dallas Mavericks, it makes sense. Him alongside Luka Doncic, I think, would be a great fit because Luka is best with shooters, because he's so ball dominant. But when he doesn't get a good look, you throw it out to the three-point arc, and a guy like Buddy Hield able to connect on about 40% of those makes. The Milwaukee Bucks also interesting because Buddy Hield alongside Giannis and Drew Holiday, you don't worry as much about his lack of defense because Giannis and Holiday, such good defensive players. They brought back Brook Lopez. He's a good rim protector. Him kind of hanging out around that three-point arc is everything they kind of thought that maybe Joe Ingles was going to give them coming off that torn ACL. So he's of interest there. The direct quote here from Shams, Lakers were long rumored for Buddy Hield, and you look at the teams like Dallas, Philly, Milwaukee, those are the types of teams that could definitely use a shooter like Buddy Hield, and they've had a level of interest in him over the last several months. We talk about Hield's fit now with Philadelphia. If James Harden plays, it's another really good three-point shooter that Harden can find around the arc. And I'm not sure how Buddy Hield fits if you have Harden, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, him, and Joel Embiid. But you think about his lack of defense on Philadelphia. If Harden does play, and that's really the big domino here, Harden's an awful defender. Maxey's a solid defender. Tobias Harris is nothing special defensively. Where does P.J. Tucker fit? You do have Patrick Beverley, so those right there, the last 2 names, solid defensive players. And Joel Embiid is one of the best. But with Embiid, you want a guy who can put the biscuit in the basket, who can shoot and make shots from long range, and that's what Hield would be able to do. They could use another shooter, and you combine Hield with a Kelly Oubre, and all of a sudden, you have some solid bench rotational spot-starting offensive options on this team. Last year, really solid season. Almost 17 points per game, 45.8% from the field, 42.5% from three-point range, on a lot of volume there. 8.5 three-point attempts per night. So again, not a lot defensively, but he can certainly space the floor. Now let's talk about this report, what Brian Windhorst had to say on ESPN. He said Philadelphia right now has positions itself to be a big free agent player, and I guess Philadelphia could swoop in and go after either Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Now, I would love to have Paul George in a trade for James Harden. I think that cures a lot of what Philadelphia is looking for, a playmaking wing who's got it done in the playoffs. His play is conducive to winning in the playoffs. If you need a bucket with some size, he can go get it for you. And Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid would be good compliments next to a Paul George. The same could be said for Kawhi Leonard as well. I mean, the guy has won 2 NBA Finals MVPs, 2 championships, one with San Antonio, one with Toronto. And in those finals, especially on that entire and during that entire Toronto Raptors playoff run, like he looked then like the best player in basketball, maybe aside from LeBron James. A big wing, two-way player who could shut you down defensively, but also just get a bucket from all 3 levels. The mid-range pull-up, the mid-range jumper, it's unstoppable with kind of that high release point. He's big enough to take you to the cup and a good three-point shooter. But the issue with both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, that's like an all-in move for maybe a year or two. And you make that all-in move for a short amount of time because you're simply not sure how often they're going to be on the floor because they're always injured. Both great players at their peak, both injured literally all the time. Also intriguing fits next to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. The latest on James Harden here. Adrian Wojnarowski with this, that the Sixers and Clippers have not spoken since the end of August. We talked about recently how the Los Angeles Clippers bowed out of the James Harden trade sweepstakes. They are no longer taking part in them. Now, that could be a leverage play. They could obviously hop back in. They could make a deal prior to this upcoming season. I think the Clippers could really benefit from having a point guard who can pressure the rim and initiate the offense, given the other players on that team. But maybe Daryl Morey's asking price is simply too high, which we knew was going to happen because he's a very difficult and firm negotiator. He wants maximum value back for a player in James Harden who can still play. Not the player he was at the peak of his powers, but led the NBA in assisted turnover ratio, and every single night he can give you 20, 10, and 8. But pretty notable there that the Sixers and Clippers have not spoken about a James Harden trade since the end of August. And then we round out with Damian Lillard. There's all this chatter, all this buzz about a mystery team in the Damian Lillard trade sweepstakes. The only team that Damian Lillard really wants to go to is the Miami Heat. Reports out there that if he gets traded anywhere else but the Miami Heat, he will not play. I find that hard to believe because Damian Lillard has always honored his word. He's always been a very loyal guy, and he remained so loyal to Portland for so long until it got to the point where he's like, look, we just drafted Scoot Henderson. We're not in a position to win an NBA championship. I want to go somewhere where I can win an NBA championship. Dame has just a couple of years left at the top of his game. Smaller guards don't often age all that well. And for Dame, he's trying to maximize the couple of great years that he has left. The Miami Heat, obviously, an ideal scenario for him. Heat culture, you play alongside Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. You have a really good team for an organization that develops players at an insane clip. And as he does progress age-wise, you have a couple of players who can take the brunt of some of that offensive load off his shoulders, which has been an issue with the Portland Trail Blazers. So he only wants to go to the Miami Heat, but I find it hard to believe that if he were to get traded to a team like the New York Knicks, a team like the Chicago Bulls, would he really just bow out and not play? Dame loves ball. And when you're this old, you can't afford to just sit out for a year, come back and expect to be the same guy. Like, you need those continuous reps. And again, Damian Lillard loves perfecting his craft. So what is the mystery team? Is it the Philadelphia 76ers? They've been thrown out there. I don't think so because the Sixers have said, we're not trading Tyrese Maxey. We're not trading Tyrese Maxey. I think Tyrese Maxey is the only player, if I'm Portland, that I want back in a deal with Philadelphia for Damian Lillard. And Tyrese Maxey is one of the best trade assets that any team can offer for Damian Lillard. And if the Sixers are not going to offer Maxey for Dame, I don't see how a deal gets done. Could it happen via a three-way trade? That's how I could see it potentially happening with Philadelphia. But if you trade away Tyrese Maxey for Dame, that's something that I firmly disagree with. I think that Dame is a great player. I think he's still an all-star right now. He's coming off a career high in points per game. Him next to Joel Embiid, maybe it helps out your championship window more so than having Maxey over the last 2 years. And is that really the point at the end of the day? Yeah, pretty much. But I believe that Tyrese Maxey is on the cusp of being a special player. I think that Maxey can be an all-star in this league. And I think that this year he's close to getting to that point where in his first 3 years, his numbers have been even better than Jamal Murray. And I do believe that on-court continuity is very important. Let Maxey and Embiid continue to have that continuity, and can it develop into something special like the Nuggets have with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic? I think there's potential for that. Whereas if you bring in Dame, you lose out on the long-term potential of Tyrese Maxey. But right now, Tyrese Maxey is still a great player in the NBA, and I believe he's only starting his trajectory of potentially being a multi-time All-Star and a guy who you love to have as the face of your organization alongside Embiid because of that vivacious and contagious personality that he does have, and it's been important to the Sixers culture. All right, just wanted to hop on the mic here and give you some thoughts on Philadelphia. Again, I cover the NFL here at Chat Sports. I'm so busy doing that right now. A little bit of a slow portion during the NBA calendar, but when things start to pick up, you can expect more videos, and that's why we're kind of doing a podcast-style video. So if you like today's show and you're still watching, give me a real one down below. Don't forget to subscribe. We're shooting for 12,000 subscribers, and we'll catch you next time here on 76ers Now.